I'm very happy to be sharing my love of flower essences with you as part of your Feminine Financial Flow program. And today we're starting with an introduction to essences, which I'm calling The Magical World of Essences and How to Use Them in Your Life and Business. So, so some of you listening may already be au fait with this kind of thing, but my wish is to kind of go back to basics so that anybody who is new to flower essences can start to use them beautifully in your life. So you're very welcome to ask questions, whether you're listening live or via the replay. So first of all, let me introduce myself to you. I'm an essence user for over 35 years. That takes me back quite a long while. I'm a huge lover of the nature kingdom. It is my life, it's my passion, it underpins absolutely everything that I do. I'm the founder of the Essentially Flowers Diploma in Flower and Vibrational Essences, and we now have over 60 graduates. So I'm super, super proud of that, and some of the graduates I know are studying in this program, which is amazing. So I'm the co-creatrix of Moonflower Essences. This is my own range of essences, which I'll be talking a little bit about later and introducing you to them as we go through this program. I'm the founder of Create a Magical Business. This is the overlighting energy for the programs that I run to help heart-centered business owners take what they do into the world. And I'm the current chair of the British Flower and Vibrational Essence Association. And I live with my partner Ian and my two cats, Ping and Pongo, here in southwest France. So I'm very, very happy to be here with you sharing this. So this is part of the Feminine Financial Flow program that you are part of. And I promised that I'd be sharing essences with you as part of this. So I'm delighted to be able to do that. So over the next few weeks, I'm going to be sharing with you what essences are, how to use them and which ones to use, how to use essences for focus and intention setting, how to use essences to support your feeling world and to create more love and more space in your life, how to use essences for self-love and self-care, and how to really come more into your own body and be who you are. All of this fits together. They're not isolated things. They all weave together in a very individual sort of pattern for each person. And essences for taking bold, aligned action. Because my wish is that whether you are using essences for your life, for your business, it's kind of the same thing, really, that you stay aligned to why you're here and that you have the courage to be yourself and to express yourself and to take whatever it is you need to take out into the world. And essences can really, really help you do that. We're also going to be talking about, over the next few weeks, essences to awaken and support the inner feminine and strengthen the support of the masculine. So you're very welcome to ask questions. Please say hello if you're here watching with me live or via the replay. It's always nice not to be alone. So that's what we're going to be doing over the next few weeks. So in this introductory session, I'm going to be sharing with you what are essences, how can I use them in my life and business. I'm going to be talking to you about 4 different ranges of essences and why we use different ranges of essences and how to begin. So if you are at the beginning of this, it might feel overwhelming. Or maybe not. My wish is that it's not, and I'm going to be giving you some suggestions to start yourself off and reminders for those of you who have been taking them for a while as to how you can support yourself on a sort of basic, well, not basic, but foundational level. So that's what we're doing today. So first of all, let's start off. What are vibrational essences? Well, you have a photograph here of an essence that I have made myself of an orange rose. This is how they are made. That basically they are cold water infusions of flowers, or sometimes flowers from trees. They don't have to be flowers from, they can be wild, they can be flowers from your garden, they can be blooms of trees, herbs. People make essence with crystals. The reason we call them vibrational essences rather than just flower essences is because there is a whole world of essences, and they're all made in very similar ways. So to the right here, you can see a photograph of a bowl which is filled with pure water, and with the permission of the rose, this is how I make them. You place the flower, you can put one flower or many flowers in the bowl and leave them usually traditionally under the sun, in the sunlight, and you leave it there for several hours, and then take the flower or flowers out, or whatever it is you're creating the essences, and you're left with a bowl of water. And I'll share with you a little bit more about that shortly. But that's basically what an essence is. It is not a herb, it is not an essential oil, and it has no physical properties per se, so that it's very, very, very safe to use. So we can make essences as well with crystals. There are environmental essences, which is essentially where you place a bowl of water in an environment, and the water absorbs the information from that environment. There are channeled essences, color essences, sound essences. So I'm saying this not to overwhelm you, but just so that you understand what vibrational essences are. Water captures the energy, and we basically bottle it and then use it. It's a very, very ancient way of living, and a beautiful way of supporting yourself as you walk through the world. So as I said, this is how we create them. You can do it in sunlight. This is the traditional way as taught by the batch essences. I make my essences sometimes in moonlight, so there are all different ways of doing them, but the traditional way is to do it in sunlight. We then take the water that's left and we decant it into mother tincture, and this is usually preserved in alcohol, basically, so that you can have long life. And if you're an essence producer, obviously you need to conform to health and safety regulations. So that's how it's done. We then have a mother tincture bottle, which might look a little bit like this. It can be any size. And so from your mother tincture, which is literally the mother, we dilute them down to stock. Stock is usually what you buy from essence producers. Now you can take stock directly, or you can dilute the stock down again to dosage. So there's all different ways of doing that. So it's best to ask if you want to find out how to do that extra information as part of this Feminine Flow program. And there is a video where I'm showing you how to dilute down into dosage. So please go and find that in your course materials. So vibrational essences are safe for all, including children, the elderly, and pets. The only time you might want to consider your use of them is if you are teetotal or if you are very sensitive to alcohol. There are ways around that, and that includes topical use. The Batch Foundation do sell sugar pills, which has had all the alcohol taken out of it. But please ask if you have concerns around that, and I'll do my best to guide you. So how do they work? Okay, so this is the big question that nobody really knows because it's not something that's logical to our minds. So there is what I'm calling an alchemical magic occurs. So basically we're using the overlighting energies of the flower or the crystal or the bloom or whatever it is you're creating the essence with, and the sunlight or the moonlight, the water and the environment. So we're using, and the air, so we're using all the elements to create this. And something happens whereby Julian Barnard of the Healing Herds has done a lot of research into this. So somehow the sun and the water and the air and the flower all work together. and the energy of the flower is imprinted into the water. Now, we know from the work of Masaru Emoto, this is a huge subject, which is why we with the diploma, and this, to a certain extent, is here to guide you. Water holds memory, and so whatever information the flower or the herb or the bloom or the tree or the environment or the crystal holds will be imprinted into the water in a very, very safe way. And of course, because we are mostly water ourselves, when we take the essences, these energies work very, very beautifully together. So that's kind of a technical, if you like, way of explaining them. This is one Edward Batch wanted essences to be used by everybody. He wanted them to be able to be used in a family, or a person could literally say to themselves, I'm hungry, I will go and pull a lettuce from the garden for my tea. I'm frightened and ill, I will take a dose of Mimulus. So that's where Edward Batch came from, and this is part of why I'm wishing to share now outside of the diploma, because that so far has been the only way to learn essences with me, is so that you can learn and use these very, very effectively. So that's essentially how we use essences. We say, how do I feel? And then find the essence to match. So Edward Batch quote here in 1933, all we have to do is find what is wrong with our nature and to take the herb which corresponds to this. And herb there, he means the essence. Being the chair of the British Flower and Vibrational Essence Association, I am also sharing a quote from them. So we believe that healing on an emotional level has knock-on effects on other levels. A healthy emotional life and a balanced personality will allow your body to find its own natural state of health. Yeah. So emotional health is so, so key to us walking forward as empowered women, and possibly men as well. My work is mainly with women, which is why I've added the possibly men in there. Men are obviously very, very welcome to follow this work. When our emotions are in balance, when we allow ourselves to feel, it's a key part of the matrix that we're going to be going through of focus, how I feel, what I do with this, and then my level of courage around this. So how we feel is a key part of it. And most of us weren't brought up to feel. Most of us not on a deep level, because it's often not convenient to feel, because other people get uncomfortable when we feel. So I'm encouraging you here to feel, but also to be responsible with your feelings and to make sure that you process them, and flower essences and flower vibrational medicine can really help you do that. So how do I use and take them? So producers usually sell them in stock bottles of 10 or 15 mils. To the right here, you can see some of the Moonflower stock bottles. I sell them in 10 mils. So what we do when you get stock, and if you buy essences from myself, you will get a stock bottle. This is normally what happens if you go to your local health shop and get some batch essences, or Alaskan or Australian Bush. Usually they are in stock, apart from sometimes the combinations aren't. But it will say so on the bottle. What you can do is you can take directly from stock, or you can dilute it down to dosage strength. And usually we use 30 ml bottles because they last around a month, following the guidance of the producer. So my guidance around this would be to most likely use a tiny bit of alcohol. You can use brandy or vodka at the bottom of a clean 30 ml bottle. You can not use alcohol if you wish, but you'll need to keep the bottle in the fridge because the water may well go off. So tiny bit of alcohol. You can also use glycerine, or there are other preservatives as well. They won't last as long usually as alcohol, just so that you know that. And then for the moonflower essences, I put 2 drops of stock into that tiny bit of brandy and fill it up. I use distilled water and then add it up with water, but you don't want to be using tap water. You want to be using preferably glass or good source water that you get from your supermarket or wherever. So once you have, well, you decide, follow your intuition, make it easy for yourself. You take drops under the tongue, so literally you're just going to drop them under your tongue, or you can put them in water, you can put them in your tea as well. Very, very easy to do. Be guided by how you feel. Do it the easy way. What we usually say to the people who take the diploma is try this out. Take them in water, see how you feel. Take them directly under the tongue, see how you feel. There's no right rules here. The most important thing is you take them and combine the essences if you are guided. Okay, so I'm literally just checking the forum here. Okay, so combine essences if you are guided. So you can put essences together from one range. You can mix essences from batch and moonflower or whatever you want to do. You do what you wish to do. It's your recipe. It's your kitchen, if you like. It's your life. It's your soul. You mix them together in ways that you enjoy and feel good, which is why I'm sharing with you more than one range here, so that you can do that should you wish to. So you can also use them topically, so you can put drops of essences in your bath. You can put them in creams that you put on your face or your body. One lovely way of using essences is in misters. So how you do this is literally take a mister bottle. You can put a little bit of preservative in the bottom if you wish. Not too much though, otherwise you'll get a big smell. You can use essential oils in there, which will act to a certain extent as a preservative. Again, you need to be guided, depends how big your bottle is, but if it's a 50 ml bottle, I would put maybe 5 drops of your stock in there, fill it up with pure water, and you're going to literally spray it all around your energy field, your office, your living room, your bedroom. It can make a huge, huge difference, and is a lovely way to use it if you don't want to ingest the essences internally. So what can you expect? Well, this is very individual. Responses are very individual. So I can't actually say this will happen. This is not a physical drug. This is a medicine that will interface very beautifully with your system, and it will work in the way that it needs to work. So sometimes people feel an upliftment of mood or an easing of intense feeling pretty quickly. So this is usually what essences will do. They will lift you or ease. So you'll have a raising or a lowering depending on your constitution and what's happening in your life. It can be immediate for some people, or some people don't feel this and say, they're not working, nothing's happening. Even it might be getting a bit worse. If that is you, that's kind of normal. Sometimes we need to feel in order to make different decisions. If we have spent a life of not paying attention to how we feel and basically pressing stuff down and not paying attention to it, the essences they might not, I don't know the answer to this, they might bring up those feelings for you to process and review and do something with. So it's kind of normal. So what we usually suggest is if you start to feel a little bit uncomfortable, just lower your dose of essences and stop them possibly. It's not like normal medicine. 1 or 2 drops can be sometimes all you need. So it can be very gradual as well. Sometimes this is why I'm a big fan of intention setting. So please set your intent. If you want to use essences as part of this program, make sure you have your intention set. And then in a few weeks' time, you can go back to your intention. We'll be doing this in the Manifesting with the Moon process as well, and look back and say, how is this different? And you'll most likely find that you are different. So when used over time with commitment and awareness, the effects of essences can be life-changing. And the reason I've put this pretty awful photograph of myself here is just to illustrate this. The left-hand picture is me in my 30s when I was hugely stressed, very unhappy, doing a job that I did with a lot of grace, but wasn't my soul calling. And the photo to the right is me 20 years later, essentially, feeling so much better, thank goodness, and having taken essences for many, many years. And I've used lots of modalities, but essences, I can probably say pretty much hand on heart that no day goes by in any year when I don't take at least one essence. They're always, always, always part of what I do, and they are my first port of call for any challenge that I have in my life, whether it's a physical one, an emotional one, or a mental one. So probably the best place to go to learn what essences do is to people who've taken them. So Esther Robertson, who is a graduate of the diploma that I run and also one of our empowered healers. When I first met Esther, as she says here, she didn't know about flower essences. She hadn't taken them before, but she just intuitively knew she needed to work with them. She took the diploma. She's since been with me as a business student, and she now has her own beautiful business called Aurora Shine. But here's Esther's words. When I started my diploma in flower essences, I had very little knowledge or experience of them, but I just knew I wanted to work with flowers. Over the 2 years of my diploma and working with essences since, they have completely changed my life. I found the courage to give up a soul-destroying job. I moved home. I walked away from a relationship that no longer made me happy. I no longer fear change. In fact, I embrace it, and I feel supported and braver in making decisions as I take steps to creating a truly magical life. So you can see how using essences for life and business are pretty much the same thing here. What we essentially do is we take essences to help us navigate through life. And if you are a business owner, a small business owner, or want to be, or you already have one, you're going to be needing to take huge self-care, really get clear on your niche, and make brave and aligned decisions. And essences can really, really, really help you do that. So why would we use different ranges? So before I actually bring up the slide, the words here, I want you just to look at those roses. Now I've deliberately chosen a slide there of lots of different roses because they all have different colours. So just cast your eye and see which colour most appeals to you. And where you go with that might be different every day, and it might be a different thing for you to actually be asked to use your intuition. Essences, and we're going to be looking at this, navigating life with your inner feminine as the leader, as the main decision maker, and running a business using your intuition. We need to pay attention to the inner world. So my first question to you is to pay attention, and this is what I've been asking you to do in this very first week 0 of the Feminine Flow program, is to pay attention to what pleases you, pay attention to what opens you, pay attention to what nourishes you. And by doing that, it's going to really help you just in life in general, but also choose essences. So different ranges of essences are a little bit like different colors of flowers. So every single essence that is made in the world is in part overlaid with the energies of the place where it's made. So an essence in the UK is different from an essence made in France, where I make mine now. And that's different from an essence made in Alaska. And it's different made from an essence in Australia, because the land itself has a different vibration. The producer will always have an overlighting intention. It's a soul calling doing this kind of thing. Yes, we can make them from ourselves, for ourselves, and that's a beautiful thing to do. But essences that are for sale are usually very, very much a soul calling. And the creator of the essence will also hold certain parts of that energy. So each range has its own unique vibration and its own unique song. And therefore, they will appeal to different people at different times, which is why I'm a big fan of using essences. So let's take the batch essences. So they are made in the UK. Generally speaking, this is a big generalization. British flowers are usually fairly small-ish. They may be a little bit more muted than, let's say, an Australian flower. And the batch essences are made from flowers, mostly in this country. And the batch essence work because of Batch's wish and the way he worked and what he wished to be passed on was that they're very linked to personality types. So most of us have a specific personality. So it's kind of a default position that we go to. And it's a strength, but it can also be a weakness. So the batch essences really help us to see that, and that's how they're presented. My own range, Moonflower Essences, are very different, mostly because they are either exclusively made in moonlight or they are made in sunlight, as are the batch essences, and then they have moon-charged water added to them. Now, this was a very intuitive thing I did. When I first did this, I had no idea years ago that I'd be doing this work here with the inner feminine and inner masculine, so the sun and the moon. It's a beautiful thing to acknowledge for myself now and to be able to share this with you. So I didn't know that at the time. So here again is the soul calling. The Moonflower Essences, because I'm really, really passionate about change, embracing change, using the nature kingdom, meaning the seasons and the moon cycles to inform us. The Moonflower Essences are very linked in to the cycles because it's how I see the world. And the newer Moonflower Essences, which are coming through now, which are called Star of Gaia Essences, which are all made in southwest France, have a vibration that's very linked to heart-centered business owners, healers, and really transcending the stuff that might have held us back as people wanting to share our gifts. Oops, I've gone the wrong way here. I go back, yes. So the Alaskan Essences. So Alaskan Essences, the reason I choose to share them here is because it's a range I love. Alaska is a country that has very not so many humans in it. It's a very pure country, and the window for flowering in Alaska, because of its climate, is tiny. It's literally just 6 weeks of a year. So the flowers there have to get on with their jobs pretty quickly. And they're not used to seeing humans. So they've retained their original Divic imprint. So it's a range that I love. They are very soul-based. And you will know if you're attracted to them. Just trust your intuition. And then the other range that I'm going to be sharing about is the Australian Bush Essences. I love them. They were one of the first ranges that I met. They're pretty widely available. All of these ranges are. Probably mine is the least widely available, but you can always get them from my web shop. The Australian Bush Essences are very different in that Australian flowers are huge, often brightly coloured. Ian White, who's the creator, is pretty flamboyant character himself. They're quite potent. Flower essences aren't physical. Some people experience them physically, some people don't. And when I say experience them physically, what I mean, they feel them after they've taken them. Not everybody does that, and if you don't, it doesn't mean to say they're not working. But Australian Bush Essences have a bit of a kick about them. And so for some people it's fab, For other people, they're a little bit too potent. But again, this is where you need to go with your intuition. They're widely used. There's lots of research been done with them, and some amazing, amazing things come from the Australian bush essences. So you have an overview of each of these ranges in the Magic of Essences bonus that you have with this course. So please go to your member page, and you'll find a little course there which actually gives you an interview with an information about each of these ranges so that you can learn more. So that's very cool. I'm very happy to share that with you. So here's some suggestions to begin. So if you're brand new to essences, and even if you're not, and you want to start using them, but you don't know where to begin, I understand. So I'm trying to take you back to an intuitive place. Now, you can always look at a repertory. Repertories are online. You can go to websites, use them if you want to. I find personally, and I do use repertories, but I find the best results always come when we kind of bin the head and we just go back to our intuition. So this week you have been, I hope, tuning into the things that plug you back into your own energy source. And so you may, I hope, be aware of the colors right now that really make you feel good. What's your favorite flower? What's the favorite flower shape? What's your favorite tree? Do you have a favorite crystal? What's the favorite environment that you need to go to? So you, I hope, already have your list here. So it could be the sea, it could be the mountains. Your favorite color will lead you to, if you love, let's say, purple, which I do, go look for purple flowers, because they will automatically be very digestible to you. If you don't like red and you find it confrontational, don't take red essences, or do it with great awareness. So this is where the intuitive side comes in. So if you love roses and you love yellow, go look at a yellow rose. If you like flowers like fuchsias that hang down, go look for fuchsias. If you love birch trees, go look for a birch tree. And the same applies to your crystal. So what feels good to you right now? Do you want to set out in the sun, or do you want to set out in the moon? So thereby, would you prefer a sun essence or a moonlight essence? So go back to the list that you have been compiling to plug your energy back into source, and you're going to start to see some places to start. Please, please, please be guided by your intuition. This is a journey of trust, and this is the way that I want to guide you as we take this feminine financial flow program together. And it's through trust. It's the ultimate way to follow your inner feminine. And there are plenty of people on the forum who can answer questions about essences. So you're very, very welcome to post up there. Okay, so a place to start. So I always think that having a rescue remedy in your handbag or carrying on you is a fabulous thing to do. Here's the rescue remedies that you can get from each of the 4 ranges that I'm talking about. So when would we need a rescue remedy? So it's at any time that we experience a shock, whether it's big, stub your toe, or a much bigger shock, an accident or ill health, for example. Bad news, again, big or little, can be really, really useful, because essences work with our energy system. And what happens is that when we experience a shock, we literally leave our bodies. So we have the phrase, I jumped out of my skin. So that's a useful thing to do at the time, because we need to deal with what is at the time. But what often happens as well is, because most of us aren't brought up to process our feelings, is that we stay out of our bodies. And what we often find with people in the diploma, as their first few months, they actually the essences will start to bring them back into their body. So they'll start to feel more. And as they feel more, they can start to heal. So this is why we all need to take rescue remedies. So this is a place for you to start. If you have had recent or long ago trauma that you haven't healed from, then start with a rescue remedy. If you're feeling out of sorts and you don't know where to start with a rescue remedy, and get one anyway, because it can be so helpful for you and your family when we're witnessing somebody else in pain, whether physically, emotionally, mentally. It's very hard to know what to do. Helping them with a rescue remedy is a beautiful thing to do. So choose very intuitively here. The batch system have what is called rescue remedy. You've probably heard of that. If that's the easiest thing to do, go get a rescue remedy. It will help. The Alaskan range has a soul support essence. My own range, Moonflower, doesn't have an emergency essence or rescue remedy per se, but the white rose made in the UK holds that energy, and many use her for that. She's very peaceful and very healing. And the Australian bush range has an emergency essence. So be intuitive, but also get something that's simple. Most countries will have access to these essences for you, and you might need to go online to get the Alaskan, the Australian bush, and definitely for the Moonflower. So other useful combinations that you might be drawn to. There is a great combination by the Australian bush called Woman Essence. This is an essence that's perfect for women of all ages. So if you're somebody who's gets very sensitive to changes throughout your cycle, this would be really cool for you, because it can have such a knock-on effect on our lives. Again, you might need to take it over a specific period of time, and it might not do everything you need it to do, because that kind of thing also needs good nutrition, etc., etc. Pay attention to the moon as well. Pay attention to manifesting with the moon if this is something that affects you. It's a very cool essence. Another one from the Australian bush is Calm and Clear. So if you're a busy person, which you most likely are if you're here, and you have to basically keep lots of balls in the air, you might want to look at the Calm and Clear Australian bush essence, because it can really help with keeping you calm and clear and making good decisions in your busy life. The Alaskan range have a lovely combination called Purification. It's available as drops and a mister. It's a great space clearer, and it can be really helpful for space clearing, but also if you need to space clear yourself, if there's certain, you'll know if this is you, if there's certain beliefs or emotions that you are tired of and you just want them to go. So you can work with purification there. There's a lovely, also Alaskan range in drops or spray. You can get Guardian Essence, and this is a lovely essence to literally take with you when you need something, an energy that is your guardian, that helps you, supports you, protects you, makes you feel safer. So that's a lovely, lovely essence. In my own range, there are, for each sacred money archetype, there is a specific essence for that. So as you get to know your top one, you can work with that if that calls you. And there are also essences for each range of the cycle, of the lunar cycle. So you can use them to guide you through the cycle, but possibly what might be more useful is to, what's completely up to you, but how many people use them is they first get really clear on which part of the moon phase they struggle with. So if full moon is usually a phase where you want to kind of like hide, then taking the full moon combination could be useful. So just as an example, you will know if you choose to follow manifesting with the moon and track how you feel. So, and also there is the combination feminine financial flow from my own range, Moonflower, which has been created to support your journey through this particular course. And there is a code for you to order Moonflowers with a 20% discount. If you don't know where to find your code, just give me a shout on the forum. So I hope that's been really, really useful for you. That's the end of our introduction for this week. Next week, we're going to be looking at essences for the dance of the inner feminine and inner masculine. And we're going to be looking at essences to support the dance, as well as actually looking at how we can do this from a more practical, everyday life awareness point of view. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I'd love to hear your feedback. Yeah, so enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you very soon. Okay, bye-bye.